Most farmland in America and Europe produces somewhere between $1,000 and $5,000 per acre per year. Corn, soybeans, wheat, hay. The commodity crops that fill silos and feed livestock generate modest, predictable income and require massive scale to make a living. This is the farming model most people have in their heads when they think about agriculture. Low margins, long hours, heavy equipment, dependence on wholesale buyers who set the prices. There is a completely different model operating alongside it that most people never see. A model where a single acre, carefully managed, can produce $30,000, $50,000, sometimes over $100,000 in a single growing season. No industrial equipment, no commodity markets, no grain elevators, just specific crops that the right buyers pay premium prices for, and farmers who understand that the plant itself matters less than the strategy around it. Today I'm walking through 12 of those crops. Every one of them has created wealth for farmers who committed to growing them properly. Some require patience measured in years. Some produce within a single season. Some need specialized conditions that filter out casual competitors. All of them share one common trait: demand vastly outpaces supply, which means the farmers who learn to grow them find buyers waiting. This is not a video about getting rich quick. None of these crops are shortcuts. Every one of them rewards mastery, consistency, and understanding the market as much as understanding the plant. But if you are willing to think like an investor rather than a laborer, if you can accept that the first year is about learning and the third year is when the returns compound, these 12 plants can change what your land is capable of producing. Let me start with the crop that asks the most patience and delivers some of the highest returns per acre in all of North American agriculture. Crop 1. American ginseng. Ginseng is the crop that tests whether you actually think like an investor or only say you do. Because ginseng does not produce a harvest in its first year, or its second, or its third. American ginseng grown in woodland conditions, the way it grows wild in the Appalachian forests of the United States and Canada, takes 6 to 10 years to reach harvest maturity. Every single year that root sits in the ground, its value increases. The older the root, the more it is worth. A well-shaped, mature, wild simulated ginseng root can sell for $500 to $1,000 per pound, and premium specimens bought by Asian buyers for traditional medicine markets have sold for several $1,000s per pound. The reason is scarcity combined with relentless demand. China and Korea have consumed ginseng as a medicinal tonic for over 2,000 years. The American wild ginseng trade dates back to the 1700s. Daniel Boone made more money trading ginseng than he did from his famous explorations. Wild American ginseng is now protected in most states with harvest restrictions and export permits, which means the limited legal supply is tightly regulated while demand from Asia continues to grow every year. That supply-demand imbalance keeps prices high and keeps rewarding farmers who produce it legally. The method that separates serious ginseng farmers from hobbyists is called wild simulated cultivation. Instead of planting ginseng in tilled rows under artificial shade structures, which produces lower quality roots at faster speed, wild simulated growers plant seeds in natural hardwood forests under the shade of oak, maple, beech, and tulip poplar canopies. The seeds germinate, grow slowly over seasons, and produce roots that are visually indistinguishable from wild specimens. Buyers pay wild simulated prices for these roots because the quality matches and the sustainability story matches. The investment is front-loaded and the returns are back-loaded. A pound of ginseng seed costs around $150 and plants roughly 1/10 of an acre at proper spacing. You prepare the forest floor, plant in autumn, cover with natural leaf mulch, and wait. The work is minimal once planted: occasional weeding, protection from poachers, patience. Year 6, 7, or 8 is when harvest begins. An acre of well-managed wild simulated ginseng can produce 50 to 100 pounds of dried root at maturity. At current prices, that acre can generate $25,000 to $100,000 in a single harvest, from land that was otherwise unused forest. Who can grow ginseng successfully? Anyone with access to appropriate hardwood forest land in USDA zones 3 through 7, which covers most of the northeastern and midwestern United States, parts of Canada, and similar climates. You need at least 70% shade, well-drained loamy soil, and the patience to wait nearly a decade. Most farmers who succeed with ginseng treat it as one component of a diversified operation, planting a new bed each year so that by year 10 they have continuous annual harvests from an 8 or 9-year-old stand. Once the rotation is established, ginseng becomes an annual income stream that essentially manages itself between planting and harvest. Ginseng also teaches a mindset that applies to every crop on this list. You are not farming for this season. You are building an asset that produces for decades. The farmers who win with ginseng are not the ones who rushed. They are the ones who planted carefully in their 30s and harvested wealth in their 40s. That patience is the same quality that separates profitable specialty farmers from struggling commodity farmers across every other high-value crop we are going to cover. The ginseng market has one additional feature that makes it particularly valuable for serious growers. Dried roots store indefinitely without losing value. You are not forced to sell at harvest. If market prices are low, you hold. If demand spikes, you sell. This flexibility is extraordinarily rare in agriculture. Most crops must move to market within weeks of harvest, or they spoil. Ginseng sits on a shelf, keeps its value, and lets you negotiate from strength. That is crop one. A decade-long commitment that can fund an entire retirement from a few acres of forest most farmers would never think to use. Crop two moves in the opposite direction, fast-growing, high-yielding, and producing income from almost the first season it goes in the ground. Crop 2. Moringa. If ginseng is the patient investment, moringa is the productivity machine. This tree, native to northern India and widely cultivated across Africa, Southeast Asia, and Central America, grows faster than almost any other food plant on Earth, from seed to a harvestable tree in less than a year. From a harvested branch back to full regrowth in weeks. The leaves can be stripped continuously without killing the tree, dried, ground into powder, and sold into a global wellness market that consumes every ounce the industry can produce. The market for moringa leaf powder has grown from near zero to a multi-hundred-million-dollar global industry in the past 2 decades. Health food brands, supplement manufacturers, smoothie companies, and nutritional product lines use moringa as a featured ingredient because the leaves contain an unusually dense concentration of protein, calcium, iron, potassium, and vitamins A and C. 1 ounce of dried moringa leaf powder wholesales for $5 to $8, and the retail market prices it at $15 to $30 for the same quantity. The honest limitation for American and European farmers is climate. Moringa is a tropical tree. It survives reliably in USDA zones 10 and 11. Southern Florida, Southern California, parts of Texas, Hawaii. In cooler zones, moringa grows as an annual from seed each spring, which reduces yields dramatically or requires a heated greenhouse to overwinter. Farmers in colder climates who want to grow moringa commercially typically do so as a greenhouse crop, which adds infrastructure cost but still delivers strong returns because the yield per tree is enormous and the processing value is high. For farmers with appropriate climate or greenhouse capacity, moringa offers something rare: genuine multi-stream income from a single plant. Fresh leaves sell to local markets and restaurants catering to South Asian and African communities. Dried leaf powder sells into the global wellness market. Seed pods are sold as a vegetable in some cuisines. Seeds pressed for oil produce ben oil, a cosmetic-grade product used in high-end skincare. Every part of the tree has a market. A farm that masters all four products can stack revenue streams on the same acreage. Crop 3. Gotu kola. Gotu kola is a small herbaceous perennial that has been used in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years as a brain tonic, circulation enhancer, and wound-healing herb. Unlike moringa, it is not a household name in Western markets. And that obscurity is precisely what makes it profitable for the farmers who grow it. The global herbal supplement industry pays premium prices for high-quality gotu kola because reliable supply is difficult to source. Most commercial gotu kola is wild harvested in tropical Asia under inconsistent conditions, which creates quality variability that supplement manufacturers dislike. Farmers who can produce clean, consistent, documented gotu kola, dried leaves, powder, or liquid extracts, have direct access to buyers who pay well for the reliability. The climate requirement is similar to moringa. Gotu kola thrives in warm, humid conditions with partial shade. Florida, Gulf Coast states, tropical and subtropical zones. In cooler climates, it can be grown in shaded greenhouses or as an annual in protected outdoor conditions. The plant itself is easy. It spreads via runners, tolerates wet soil, and requires minimal pest management. What makes it profitable is the processing and the market access. Selling raw leaves to a local herbalist generates moderate income. Processing those leaves into dried powder, tincture, or standardized extract for herbal supplement companies multiplies the value many times over. Crop 4. Saffron. Saffron is the most expensive spice in the world, and the economics that drive its price are entirely based on the labor required to produce it. Each saffron crocus flower produces 3 red stigmas, the threads that become the dried saffron of commerce. Every thread is harvested by hand. Approximately 170,000 flowers are required to produce 1 kilogram of dried saffron. Retail prices range from $10 to $20 per gram, making quality saffron worth more than $10,000 per kilogram. What most farmers do not realize is that saffron grows well in a surprising number of temperate climates. The saffron crocus is hardy to USDA Zone 6, and in some cases Zone 5 with mulch protection. It blooms in autumn, October in most of its range, when almost no other crops are active. The corms go dormant through winter, push up foliage in spring, die back in early summer, and rest through the hot months before flowering again in fall. This schedule means saffron does not compete with conventional summer vegetables for land, labor, or attention. It fits into the calendar gaps where most farmland sits idle. An acre planted densely with saffron corms produces somewhere between 2 and 5 pounds of dried saffron in a mature stand, which at current market prices represents $50,000 to $150,000 of finished product. The harvest window is short and the labor is intense. Flowers must be picked at dawn and processed the same day. But the total annual labor investment is measured in days, not months. Farmers in Vermont, Pennsylvania, and other northeastern U.S. states have established successful saffron operations on small acreages specifically because the crop rewards careful handwork over industrial scale. Crop 5. Stevia. Stevia is a tropical perennial that grows as an annual in most of the United States and Europe. But even treated as an annual, it produces enough leaf material to justify the effort for farmers who understand the market. The active compounds in stevia leaves, stevioside, and ribadioside, are 2 to 300 times sweeter than sugar and contain essentially 0 calories. The global shift away from sugar and artificial sweeteners has made stevia one of the fastest-growing natural sweetener markets in the world. Most stevia in consumer products comes from large commercial operations in China, Paraguay, and Brazil. But a growing segment of the market specifically wants domestic, organic, artisan-processed stevia leaf and extract. That premium niche is where small farmers can operate profitably. A single stevia plant produces several hundred grams of dried leaf over a season. An acre of stevia at proper spacing produces 1 to 2,000 pounds of dried leaf annually, and processed leaf or crude extract sells for $5 to $20 per pound, depending on quality and market. The key to profitable stevia farming is processing. Selling raw dried leaves to a wholesaler captures only a fraction of the crop's value. Drying carefully, grinding to a consistent powder, and packaging for direct-to-consumer or specialty retail sale multiplies returns dramatically. Farmers who learn basic extraction, water or alcohol extraction producing concentrated liquid sweetener, access the highest-paying segment of the market. Crop 6. Wasabi. True wasabi, Wasabia japonica, is one of the most difficult specialty crops in commercial agriculture. It grows naturally only in cold, clean, flowing water, typically along mountain streams in Japan. Most of what consumers eat in sushi restaurants around the world labeled as wasabi is actually horseradish mixed with mustard and green food coloring. Real wasabi, the freshly grated rhizome of the authentic plant, has a completely different flavor profile and sells for prices that reflect its rarity. Fresh wasabi rhizomes wholesale for $200 to $600 per kilogram, depending on size and quality. Top quality specimens delivered fresh to high-end restaurants can exceed that range. The market is small but intensely loyal. Chefs at premium sushi restaurants develop direct relationships with wasabi growers because authentic wasabi distinguishes their service from competitors using imitation. The growing requirements are the main filter. Wasabi needs cold running water, ideally 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, consistent partial shade, and protection from temperature extremes. A small number of farmers in Oregon, British Columbia, and parts of the United Kingdom have established commercial wasabi operations using streamside cultivation or engineered flowing water systems. The startup investment is significant. The payback period is 2 to 3 years before rhizomes reach harvestable size. But once an operation is established, a few hundred square feet of properly managed wasabi beds can produce tens of thousands of dollars annually from a market that cannot get enough authentic product. Crop 7. Vanilla. Vanilla is the second most expensive spice in the world after saffron, and the economics of vanilla production explain why. Every vanilla flower opens for a single day. In its native habitat in Mexico, a specific species of bee pollinates the flowers. But that bee does not exist anywhere else in the world. Every vanilla flower grown commercially outside Mexico must be pollinated by hand, one flower at a time, during the few-hour window when the flower is receptive. A skilled worker can hand-pollinate 1,000 to 1,500 flowers in a day. After pollination, the beans take 9 months to mature on the vine. After harvest, the beans go through a curing process that takes another 3 to 6 months. Repeated sweating, sunning, and slow drying that develops the aromatic compounds that give vanilla its flavor. All of that labor is why cured vanilla beans wholesale for $200 to $600 per kilogram, and why premium single-origin vanilla can exceed $1,000 per kilogram in the specialty market. The global supply is chronically short. Madagascar and Indonesia produce most of the commercial vanilla, and both regions face hurricane damage, crop disease, and price volatility that make supply unreliable. Bakeries, Ice cream makers, perfumers, and craft food producers pay premium prices for verified quality beans from consistent sources. For American and European farmers, vanilla requires a heated greenhouse. The vines need tropical conditions, consistent temperatures between 65 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit, high humidity, and partial shade. A climate-controlled greenhouse of a few hundred square feet can support dozens of vanilla vines producing annually once the plants reach maturity at 3 to 5 years from planting. The upfront investment in greenhouse infrastructure and the waiting period for vines to mature are the main barriers. But for farmers willing to commit to the system, a modest vanilla operation can produce tens of thousands of dollars in finished cured beans from a small indoor space. Crop 8. Ginger. Ginger is one of the most widely used spices in the world, and the market extends across fresh culinary use, dried and powdered spice, herbal supplements, teas, candies, and processed food ingredients. Global demand grows every year as Asian cuisine becomes more popular worldwide and as herbal medicine markets expand. Ginger is a tropical perennial that grows reliably outdoors in zones 9 and 10, and is an annual in cooler climates where the rhizomes are planted in spring and harvested in autumn before frost. The profitability of ginger depends entirely on how you sell it. Bulk commodity ginger from large overseas producers sells at wholesale prices that small farmers cannot match. Specialty ginger, baby ginger harvested young and tender, organic ginger grown without synthetic inputs, or heritage varieties with specific flavor profiles, sells into completely different markets at premium prices. Baby ginger harvested at 5 to 7 months, still pale and tender-skinned, can wholesale for $15 to $25 per pound at farmers markets and specialty groceries. Mature ginger cured and stored properly sells year-round for premium prices during the winter months, when imported supply quality drops. Ginger also grows well in containers and greenhouses, which opens the crop to farmers in cold climates who can dedicate heated indoor space to extended growing seasons. A 200 square foot greenhouse bed planted densely with ginger can produce 100 to 200 pounds of fresh rhizome annually, generating $2,000 to $4,000 in direct farmer market sales from a small space. Crop 9. Turmeric. Turmeric operates in the same category as ginger, a tropical rhizome that grows as a perennial in warm zones and an annual in cooler climates, with a global market driven by culinary use, herbal medicine, and the explosive growth of curcumin-based nutritional supplements. Turmeric has become one of the fastest-growing health supplement markets in the world over the past decade, as research on curcumin's anti-inflammatory properties has moved from traditional medicine into mainstream nutritional science. For farmers, turmeric offers similar profitability to ginger with one additional advantage. High curcumin varieties command premium prices from supplement manufacturers who test every batch for active compound concentration. A farmer who plants specific high curcumin cultivars and manages growing conditions to maximize curcumin development can sell dried rhizome or powder at rates significantly above generic turmeric. The market rewards quality differentiation because supplement makers cannot meet their standardization requirements from commodity-grade imports alone. Growing turmeric follows the same principles as ginger. Plant rhizomes in spring. Provide warm temperatures, consistent moisture, and rich soil. Harvest in autumn before frost. Cure rhizomes in shade for a week. Then dry thoroughly. Then grind to powder if selling processed product. A small greenhouse or hoop house extends the growing season in cooler climates and increases both yield and curcumin content. Crop 10. Garlic. Garlic is the one crop on this list that any gardener in the United States or Europe can grow immediately without special infrastructure, exotic climate requirements, or years of patience. Garlic is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. It plants in autumn, sits under snow through winter, wakes up in spring, and harvests in early to midsummer. The growing cycle is nearly automatic, and the profitability depends entirely on which varieties you grow and how you sell them. Commodity garlic, the bleached white bulbs imported from China that fill supermarket shelves, sells for $3 to $4 per pound at retail. That is the volume market where small farmers cannot compete. The specialty garlic market, hardneck varieties with complex flavors, heritage cultivars with names and origin stories, organic bulbs sold direct to consumers and restaurants, operates at completely different price points. Premium hardneck garlic at farmers markets and through direct-to-chef sales consistently sells for $15 to $25 per pound. Seed garlic, bulbs sold to other farmers and gardeners for replanting, sells for $20 to $40 per pound depending on variety rarity. An acre of well-managed hardneck garlic produces roughly 5,000 to 8,000 pounds of harvest annually. At specialty market prices, that acre can generate $75,000 to $200,000 in gross revenue from a crop that requires 2 significant work periods per year, autumn planting and midsummer harvest, and almost no attention in between. Garlic also produces a secondary crop called garlic scapes, the curly flower stalks that hardneck varieties send up in early summer. Scapes harvested and bundled sell for $10 to $15 per pound in specialty markets and restaurants, adding a pre-harvest revenue stream from the same plants. Garlic teaches the core lesson of specialty farming better than almost any other crop. The plant is ordinary. The market is competitive. The difference between commodity pricing and specialty pricing is entirely about variety selection, quality, and how you reach buyers. A farmer growing generic garlic for wholesale cannot compete with imports. A farmer growing 10 heritage hardneck varieties, selling them direct to customers who understand the difference, operates in a market where imports are not even relevant. Crop 11. Lavender. Lavender is a Mediterranean perennial that thrives in well-drained soil, full sun, and the relatively dry summer conditions found across much of the United States and southern Europe. It is hardy in zones 5 through 9, meaning most of the populated regions of both continents can grow it reliably. And it produces 3 distinct revenue streams from the same plants: cut and dried flower bundles for florists and home decor, essential oil distilled from the flowers for the cosmetic and aromatherapy industries, and agritourism experiences where farms generate direct income from visitors. Dried lavender bundles wholesale for $8 to $15 per pound, and retail at farmers markets for $20 to $40 per pound. Essential oil, distilled from approximately 100 pounds of fresh flowers to produce a pound of our oil, sells for $75 to $200 per pound, depending on variety and quality. Lavandula angustifolia, English lavender, produces smaller quantities of higher value oil, prized for fragrance and therapeutic use. Lavandin, a hybrid that yields much more oil per plant, produces lower value oil sold in higher volume to industrial and cosmetic markets. The agritourism dimension is what makes lavender uniquely profitable in small acreage operations. Lavender farms in Provence, Washington State, Virginia, and parts of the United Kingdom have built successful businesses around you-pick experiences, weddings, workshops, and farm tours. Visitors pay to walk through blooming fields, take photographs, and purchase lavender products direct from the source. A single blooming weekend at a well-marketed lavender farm can generate more revenue than the raw crop value of the entire harvest. Crop 12. Aloe vera. Aloe vera is the final crop on this list, and it closes the system with a plant that has become one of the most reliably profitable specialty crops in the global wellness market. The aloe vera industry, driven by skincare, cosmetics, beverages, nutritional supplements, and pharmaceutical applications, exceeds several billion dollars annually and continues to grow. Large commercial operations in Mexico, Thailand, and the Dominican Republic supply most of the bulk raw material, but premium organic aloe, artisan processed gel, and specialty extracts operate in niche markets where small farmers can compete directly with industrial producers. The climate requirement is the main filter. Aloe vera grows outdoors as a perennial in zones 9 and warmer: Southern California, Southern Florida, Gulf Coast states, Mediterranean regions of Southern Europe. In colder climates, aloe is grown in containers that move indoors during winter or in heated greenhouses that maintain the warm, dry conditions the plant prefers. An aloe plant produces harvestable leaves starting at 2 years from planting and continues producing for decades from the same root system. Each mature leaf yields significant quantities of clear inner gel, the valuable part, that is processed into skincare ingredients, nutritional supplements, or beverage bases. The profit comes from processing. Raw aloe leaves sold at farmers markets or to small local buyers generate modest income. Stabilized aloe gel, processed to prevent oxidation and retain active compounds, sells into the cosmetic supply chain at significantly higher rates. Dehydrated aloe powder and concentrated extracts serve the supplement industry at premium prices. Farmers who build even basic processing capability, a clean kitchen with proper equipment for filleting leaves, extracting gel, and preserving it, multiply the value of their harvest several times over compared to selling raw leaves. That completes the list. 12 crops, each with its own economics, climate requirements, and skill demands. Let me put the full picture together now, because the real insight is not any single crop. It is the pattern that runs through all of them. The common thread across every profitable specialty crop. Every one of these 12 crops shares 4 characteristics that separate them from commodity agriculture. Understanding those 4 characteristics lets you evaluate any specialty crop, including ones not on this list, and judge whether it has profit potential. First, demand outpaces supply. Every crop on this list has more buyers than growers. That imbalance is what creates premium pricing. Commodity crops have inverted economics, more production than the market can absorb, which is why wholesale prices stay low regardless of how much work the farmer puts in. Specialty crops operate where the buyer is searching for the seller, not the other way around. Second, barriers to entry filter out casual competitors. Saffron demands hand harvesting that most farmers will not do. Ginseng demands patience most farmers will not accept. Wasabi demands growing conditions most farmers cannot provide. Vanilla demands pollination skill most farmers do not learn. Those barriers are not obstacles for the committed farmer. They are protective moats that keep the market from being flooded by easy entrants. The difficulty that scares people away is exactly what protects the price for farmers who commit. Third, processing and value-added work multiplies returns dramatically. Selling raw harvest at wholesale captures a small fraction of the crop's potential value. Drying, powdering, extracting, packaging, and branding can multiply returns 5 to 20 times over raw material prices. The farmers who learn basic processing, drying chambers, simple distillation, clean packaging, direct marketing, operate in completely different economic territory than farmers who only grow and sell bulk. Fourth, direct buyer relationships replace commodity markets. None of these 12 crops succeed through wholesale commodity channels. They succeed through direct relationships with chefs, herbalists, cosmetic manufacturers, supplement companies, specialty retailers, and individual customers who value quality and reliability. Building those relationships takes time. But once established, those buyers stay for years and pay premiums for consistent supply. How to choose which crops fit your situation. Not every crop on this list is appropriate for every farmer. Here is the honest filter. If you have woodland acreage in the eastern United States or similar temperate forest ecosystems, ginseng is the highest value long-term option you can plant, with essentially no competition from conventional farming and returns measured in decades. If you have open sunny acreage in zones 5 through 9 with well-drained soil, garlic is accessible immediately, lavender establishes within 2 years, and saffron fits the cool season calendar in zones 6 through 9. If you are willing to invest in greenhouse infrastructure, vanilla, moringa, gotu kola, ginger, turmeric, and aloe vera all become viable in climates that would otherwise exclude them. If you have access to cold-flowing water, wasabi is the niche that rewards that specific resource more than any other crop. If you have a small acreage and strong direct marketing skills, garlic, lavender, saffron, and specialty ginger operate in direct-to-consumer markets where scale is less important than quality and relationships. Starting strategy. Do not plant all 12 crops. Do not even plant 3 in the first year. The single most common failure mode in specialty crop farming is overexpansion before mastery. Every crop on this list rewards depth over breadth. The farmers who build lasting operations start with one crop, learn it completely over 2 to 3 seasons, build the buyer relationships that justify the investment, and only then expand into complementary crops that fit the same markets. My recommendation for anyone beginning specialty crop farming: start with garlic. It grows in almost every climate gardeners in the United States and Europe live in. It produces income in the first year. The variety selection teaches you about specialty markets. The direct sales teach you about customer relationships. The success or failure of a first garlic crop gives you honest feedback about whether this kind of farming fits your temperament and your situation. If garlic works for you at small scale, you are ready to add lavender, then saffron, then whichever higher investment crops match your climate and goals. The farmers who become wealthy through specialty agriculture are not the ones who planted the right crop at the right moment. They are the ones who built expertise, reputation, and relationships over a decade of steady growth. The crop is the vehicle. The farmer is the driver. The combination is what produces wealth. 12 plants, every one of them capable of transforming modest acreage into meaningful income for farmers willing to commit to the long game. The land under your feet is not just soil, it is potential waiting for the right crop, the right strategy, and the right farmer to unlock it. If this changed how you think about what your land could produce, type "grow" in the comments and hit the like button. It helps this video reach farmers who are still trading their time for commodity prices when their soil could be producing specialty crops at 5 or 10 times the income. And if you are not subscribed to the Amish Secret to Gardening yet, this is your invitation. Practical methods, real economics, zero hype. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and we will see you in the next one.